Hey guys, it's Peyton, and today I am going to be talking about my top 15 books of 2020. I really wanted to do 20 of 2020, but dang, do I not feel like doing that. If I only cut it down to 10 books, it just didn't feel like enough. What do you do? So I did 15 instead. I read 82 books this year, which is the most I've ever read in a year. My goal was 70, and somehow I surpassed that and went to 82. I'm really proud of myself because dang, every year I'm just reading more and more, so hopefully I can keep that going. I have a lot of books here to discuss in a short amount of time, so I'm probably not gonna be able to go as in depth as I would like to in a normal video. I'm gonna try my best. I'm also not including rereads. These are all books that I read for the first time this year, so let's just go ahead and get into it. The first book that is on this list is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. Now this book I love so freaking much. I listened to it on audiobook, and when I was listening to it, it just took over my life because it's one of those books that just has a mystery that you must solve. It literally eats at you the entire time until you finally get the answer. It's a really sad book. Tiffany D. Jackson really hits hard with the sad books. Claudia has a best friend named Monday, and they are just like close as can be. And one summer when Claudia is away with her grandparents, they just don't talk. Normally they're always mailing letters to each other and just always talking, but Monday was not responding. So when she comes back home and Monday is just like missing, like nobody knows where she is, but nobody really cares, Claudia is obviously disturbed and is trying desperately to find Monday, even though nobody seems to want to help her. Something really weird is going on with Monday, something very suspicious. It is an emotional roller coaster, this book is. I loved Claudia so much and I just was rooting for her and Monday. It actually has multiple timelines, so you get to see Claudia and Monday's relationship throughout the book, but also go back to present time where Claudia is searching for her. It's such a powerful read. Tiffany D. Jackson is definitely an author to keep on your radar for sure. I literally sound so freaking gross. My voice, like I've been sick and I literally just got tested for corona, and I really hope I don't got corona, but I do think I got corona. Quarantining for real for me. The next book I loved so much this year is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is actually an ARC. I won it in a giveaway somehow between 9,000 people on Goodreads. How the heck did I do that? Don't know. I am powerful when it comes to book giveaways is all I can say. This book is supposed to come out June of next year, right around my birthday. I was so excited for it. I was desperately trying to get an ARC of it any way I could. I actually somehow got an ARC of it on NetGalley as well, so I read the ebook copy. But holy shit, this book is good. This is the same author as Red, White, and Royal Blue, and that's one of my favorite books of all time. I just love it so much because it's a romance, and they're always queer romances. It's also like longer, so you just like really have time to like fall in love with the characters. I know some people don't like longer romance books. For me, if it's done right and you just like are able to spend time with the characters and watch them develop their relationships with one another, it's so satisfying. And this was another one of those situations where it was amazing and satisfying. I have a whole reading vlog for this if you want really in-depth thoughts. It's a love story with a twist from the past because our main character, August, is going on a train every day, and there is a girl there that looks the same every day, and she's always there. Somehow they're always there at the same time, and she ends up realizing that that girl might be from the past, from 1970s, and somehow they're seeing each other. Freaking crazy concept, and it just makes you also feel the need to read the book so quickly because you want to know what happens. The next book I really freaking loved is Collab When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. I read all 3 of Elizabeth Acevedo's books this year, and I loved all of them. She writes in verse, other than one of them. It was written like a normal novel. It's like poetry, and it's the most beautiful freaking writing in the world, especially if you listen to it on audiobook. And this one's freaking sad. It's all about death. Get your tissues for this one. 2 sisters who never knew each other existed. They're like half sisters. Their father had a double life, and when he dies, they end up finding out about each other and kind of grieving together a little bit. It is a very sad story. Yeah, you just need to read it to understand the pain that this book provides you. I just thought it was so beautifully written, and the relationship between the sisters, like, also beautiful. Like, mwah. Like I was here for every emotional aspect that this book brought out in me. The next one that I loved very deeply is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. Another T Diddy, like what was I saying? Another T Another Tiffany D. Jackson book on this list. I think this is the only author that got like a double spot on the list. I could have combined them and just been like, Tiffany D. Jackson is the winner of the year. This book is another really freaking sad one. Apparently I was only reading dark and sad freaking books, and this is another example. Our main character, Enchanted, is an amazing singer, and she goes into this singing competition, and this really well-known singer, he's like huge in the universe of fame. Why did I put it that way? He's really famous and he's like 30. She catches his eye. Let's just say a lot of pedophilia ensues. He befriends her and she's just so excited because one of her idols is like giving her attention, and she's, you know, excited as most people would be. But there's so many red flags in here, and I feel like it could just be a really big warning to so many young girls about things like this and situations like this and creepy men who do things like this. And there's also women doing things like this. Like, it's just disgusting, and it's just something that can really like open your eyes to how gross people can be. And it has a strong message about how it's not the child's fault. It is the person in power, the older person that should have known. It's their fault. Like, they knew better and they still were doing it. A heavy hitter. So sad, because you just watch Enchanted fall apart throughout this book. I was glued to this book because I just needed to know if she was going to be okay. The next book that had a lot of me freaking out this year about, because I made a million videos about it, it is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This one obviously had some love. I have a super unpopular opinion. A lot of people hated this book, and it's honestly interesting to even see that, because it just seems like the internet decided that this book is bad, and like, if you like it, you're like unallowed to like it. I get a lot of comments on my videos like about this book that are like, oh my gosh, I finally found someone who likes it. And like, trust me, there is people who like this book out there. This is supposed to be the prequel to The Hunger Games, and I reread The Hunger Games before this was even announced, and like, I always have loved The Hunger Games. Like, it's been a huge part of my life. Read them in middle school, and I reread them like a year or two ago, probably 2 years now. I was shocked and like electrocuted of love. Like, I remembered how much I loved this series. I always knew it, but like, I had to reread them and re-experience everything and just freaking remember. Like, this series holds up so well. I'm so glad I have gone on this journey to reread them and freak out over this one and theorize with everybody and review it and read it together. I have a whole Hunger Games playlist if you want to dive into that, because I've made a lot of Hunger Games videos. I would love to reread this and see if I still think it's like a 5-star book, because I know I was just so freaking excited to get any form of new content, and that could possibly have swayed my rating. But I still think I will always love and appreciate this book. It's definitely not for everybody, and there is just a lot of information in there that, like, if you don't really know the original books, like, you probably wouldn't even catch it and get the enjoyment of catching that information. I feel like if you're just like a casual reader, like, this just might not be anything for you. It's the freaking history behind the Hunger Games and some of the characters, and it's so satisfying. I definitely can see like people hating it, especially people that didn't really care for the series that much to begin with. I really enjoyed it. It was a villain origin story, and all the way through I hated this man, President Snow, throughout the whole book, and that's what you're supposed to. There was like a whole thing where people were saying they were trying to make him look like a hero. No, that was not the point of this book. But okay, I am done with this rant. I have all the videos going over it if you want to know how I feel about it. The next best book of 2020 is Felix Ever After by Peyton Calendar. I listened to this one on audiobook, and it was one of those books like when you were halfway through the book and you weren't really sure how you were feeling about it, but by the end everything came together and it was just perfect and beautiful and so important. It's about a trans main character, and it's really just about the discovery of his identity and just really understanding like deeply who he is. There is like an aspect of someone keeps trying to like expose him and like keeps harassing him. He is going undercover and like catfishing the person who he thinks is doing it to him and kind of like having a romance and things, because you know, it's the wrong person. He thought it was that person, but it's not. But really, the core of this book is just discovering yourself, and it's so freaking important for the trans community. It's written by a trans author, and it's just such an important thing. By the end, it was such a satisfying read with what happened in the end, because there was something I was hoping would happen, and I didn't think it would, and then it did. And I was like, oh gosh, 5 stars. The next one, oh my gosh, this book took over my life. The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. So I reread everything before this one. Fell in love with that book even more than I did the first time. Watched the movie, like I had a whole moment. I was like, okay, I need to read the next one by her that I never got around to reading. So I listened to it on audiobook. I have a whole vlog of me reading it as well during a readathon. Oh my gosh, the audiobook and this book in general, it was so powerful. It is the concept of a one-day romance, like falling in love in one day. In the past, I have hated this. I hate insta love. Like I read They Both Die at the End, and like no, like I just did not really vibe with that book. But for this one, the chemistry was there. I believe a one-day romance can happen. Like I believe it. I watched The freaking Bachelor and weird shit like that. But if you're going to do it in media, like books or movies, you have to make me believe it with the conversations and the chemistry that is in it. And this made me believe it. So I applaud Nicola Yoon for making me being okay like with an insta love for the first time in my freaking life. I think it was beautiful. It was freaking Daniel and Natasha. Natasha is about to get deported to Jamaica, and she's really freaking upset about it because she's lived in New York her whole life. And then she comes across Daniel the last day that she is in New York, and they spend the whole day together, and obviously like they're falling in love, but oh my gosh, she has to go to Jamaica, and like it literally is a crazy journey. And oh my god, I freaking love it, and I think about it all the time. It's one of those books that like boom, I gave it 5 stars, but I still think about it because there's so many books this year that I gave freaking 5 stars, and I loved it in the moment. Like I love it so much, but like I forget about it, and I did not forget about this one. The next book that I'm obsessed with is A Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. So Ashley Poston, oh my god, my dog just came in here. She's scratching on my door. Could she not at least say hello? Does she have to be so rude? Ashley Poston has been writing a Once Upon a Con series. This is the 3rd one. They're all companion novels, and they're all like fairy tale retellings in a modern day with fandom twists, like with Comic-Cons and things like that. They're freaking cute. So the first one was like Geekerella. It was a Cinderella retelling. The second one was a Princess and the Pauper, or the Prince and the Pauper retelling. And this one is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So there's like all these books, and like the main character loves freaking reading, and I love any book about a character that freaking loves reading. Like it just hits me in the soul because I love reading too, you know, like I love to read about readers. Okay, Vance is a character that we knew from past books in this companion series, and he's a boob, you know, he's the beast, like he's a meanie, and we get to know him more in this book, and it's just satisfying to see him like become a little bit of a better person. Dude, Beauty and the Beast, we love it, but also we love a book about freaking books. The romance was so freaking cute. Like I literally died for this, and I literally was actually so sad finishing this book because it's supposed to be the final one in this little Once Upon a Con series. And Ashley Poston, please give me some more content, because these books, all 3 of them, have given me life, and they make me so freaking happy. Like when I read these books, I'm just all smiles, and that's what I want sometimes. Sometimes I need something happy because I be reading such sad freaking books. Like why am I doing that to myself? I can read books that are happy like this, but she refuses to continue to read them. I'm gonna go call her and be like, yo,
are you sure you don't want to keep writing these? Because they're so good.
Next book I'm freaking obsessed with this year is A Song of Race and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. We love this. It's a rich fantasy book. I think it's based off of West African folklore. It was so much fun, like when I was reading this, and the second one is coming out next year. It's a duology, and I'm just so hyped. The world was so well done. It made me feel bad about the fantasy book I'm writing because I'm like, how can I ever do something like this? The basic premise is 2 teenagers. They're both destined to kill each other at this point. Like that's the quickest way to explain it. They both need to kill each other. They don't know each other, but they both know that they gotta kill each other. Crazy shit goes down. There's a competition aspect. We love competition books. There's supposed to be a little bit of a romance between them. I'm not really that into it. I just like the characters individually. The story and everything was just so much fun. So I definitely recommend this book, and I'm excited for the next one. The next book that I'm so obsessed with this year is one I randomly found in the bookstore. Macy, shut up. This one is Who I Was With Her by Nita Tyndall. This book is about a closeted bisexual main character girl. She has been in this relationship with this other girl for a year, and when that girl dies in a car crash, she has to deal with these feelings all freaking alone because nobody knows they were even friends, let alone in a relationship together. It's just such a sad book. Once again, why is every book on this list so freaking sad? Haha, apparently I have a taste for emotions. It is all about her coming into her own, being who she is, you know, eventually having to probably open up and tell people that she's bisexual and that she had a relationship with this girl, dealing with the grief of how much she freaking loved this girl and how she's gone. And she also kind of connects with one of her girlfriend's ex-girlfriends, and they both like talk about how they loved her and, like, you know,
Pain. They're talking about pain.
it was so well done, and it was everything I ever freaking wanted and more. Like, it literally was so beautiful, and more people need to know about this book. Nobody talks about it. Talk about it. The next book that is beautiful and amazing is Daughter of the Siren Queen by Trisha Levenseller. This is the second book in a duology. The first one is Daughter of the Pirate Queen, and I read that one ages ago, and I finally reread it so I could finally pick up the second one and finish the duology. Lived for it, loved it so much. I loved the second one even more than the first one. The romance in these freaking books and the action and like everything, the fantasy vibes, like everything is correct in this duology. Why did I say this duology? But it's literally beautiful and amazing and everything I would ever need. It's about this girl. She is the daughter of the pirate king. He puts her on a mission to go into this enemy ship and spy and pretend to be a prisoner. And oh my gosh, one of the people on the freaking ship is really hot, and he questions her. Like, he has to be mean and like get information, but oh my god, they low-key think they're so freaking cute. Like, they low-key like love each other. The main character is like literally like female Jack Sparrow, Selena Sardathian vibes. We live for that shit, and she's like so powerful. The first book, she's always talking about like all the shit she can do, but she's having to hold back because she's pretending to be a prisoner. This one, she lets loose and like killing everybody is so amazing, and I just love to see it. And I love the pirate vibes as well. It's literally so good, but it's also like a fantasy that fantasy people would love, but also people who don't really pick up fantasies very often. I feel like they love this too because it's really just not that complex of like a world to really jump into. So I feel like you should give it a try. The next one is actually going to fill in for like 3 freaking books because I have to do this. And Ember in the Ashes by Sabah Tahir. I've read the first 3 in this series so far, and I'm doing a whole huge reading vlog for it. So definitely stay tuned for that. Subscribe and like the video because it's coming, and it's gonna be a movie long freaking video. All 3 of the books that I've read so far in the series, exquisite, beautiful, delicious, absolutely brilliant, and needs to be talked about. I'm obsessed with the series right now, and it's literally about a girl named Alaya. Her family is all dead. Her brother is stolen. He is taken as a prisoner, and if she wants to get him back, she has to be a slave to the commandant, who is this terrible, evil freaking woman who is the freaking runner of this Black Cliff Academy. It's for soldiers in this dark, evil empire that Laya is against, and she has to be the slave of that woman and be the spy and give information to the rebels if she wants to get her brother back. At this freaking academy, we also have Elias. He is training to be a soldier at the academy. He is the commandant's son as well, and she hates his guts. The freaking dynamic is crazy. Elias and Laya cross paths because they're both in the same place at this current moment, and just different positions. He is the soldier, he is in power, supposedly, but he hates it so much and he wants to run away, and she's the slave, and she's getting tortured all the time, and it's terrible, and like I literally love them so much. It's a beautiful series and you need to read it. The characters are like amazing. Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I feel like I don't have much to say about this because most of us on BookTube probably know who Cassandra Clare is. This is the first one in the Last Hours trilogy. It is the sequel trilogy to the Infernal Devices, which is my favorite thing that Cassandra Clare has ever read. It pretty much follows the children of the people from the original freaking trilogy. I am here for it. So it's literally the most beautiful thing in the world. You see past characters that you love so freaking much, and then you have the new characters that you actually fall in love with as well. And honestly, I have no idea how to explain this plot to you. There's so many Shadowhunter books. Shadowhunters are basically half humans, half angels that kill demons to keep humans safe. They're really freaking cool. Lots of fun. Cassandra Clare has a million freaking series. series, but my favorite is the Infernal Devices, and because of that, Chain of Gold is my new freaking favorite thing ever too. One of the last books, but certainly not least, is freaking House of Earth and Blood, the first book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. I loved this book. There's so many tabs. Like, it was amazing, beautiful, exquisite, 800 freaking pages. I have a whole reading vlog of me dying over it and like crying and just everything, like so many emotions. Holy shit, it's the first one in like kind of like an urban fantasy kind of vibe, but it's a high fantasy. It's a whole different world, but they have technology. Like, I don't know how to explain it, dude. Our main character, Bryce, her best friend was murdered years ago, and she has been trying to figure out who did it, and this guy named Hunt Athalar, he's a fallen angel. He is helping her figure out who did it because recently there's been like some suspicious shit, and like they think they can figure out who did this and punish them. The slow burn romance in here is insane. Like, we still don't have the payoff. Like, obviously it's going to take a few books till we probably even see these people together.
It is painful.
And I just love Sarah J. Maas. Like, I'm literally trash for her, and you know, I have been for years, so I'm sorry. I just love how she makes me fall in love with her characters. The final book on this list is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is a horror adult novel, and obviously it's a vampire book. It's literally a good book for commentary. It's a group of women in a book club, like they're middle-aged, they're low-key kind of annoying, and they're supposed to be annoying. It kind of commentates on how stupid they are throughout the book. Our main character, what's her freaking name? Patricia. She is getting in a situation. This guy moves in next door. He seems all nice and chill at first, but Patricia starts to learn more and more about him, and she's not exactly sure what's up with him, but she knows he's dangerous, and you know, obviously he's a vampire. Like, he is bad. He is doing terrible things. He is disgusting and is killing children. More specifically, he's killing a bunch of black children, and he is disgusting, and Patricia and her stupid little group of white friends don't really care. I mean, Patricia cares. She's trying to get them to care about these children, but they just don't care, and it's disgusting. And you know, we get that commentary of why that's freaking terrible and why they freaking need to care about people. I can't even fully like coherently like explain the commentary. I'm not good like that, and I'm sorry. Hey everyone, this is Peyton in editing, and I just don't like how I was talking about this book. I feel like I could not get my words out. So what I'm really trying to say about this book is there's like a whole bunch of commentary throughout it with the women, with the husbands that they obviously are married to. I think this book takes place in the 80s, and a big problem that seemed to happen is the women were scared to stand up to their husbands, and they all seemed to be in really bad marriages. So there was like a little bit of commentary on just like how a lot of people would marry for money or just marry whoever they could find and not for actual love, and like the actual relationships just weren't great, and how that affected their lives, and how in ways like the men would expect them to take this stereotypical role of like cooking and cleaning, and like they weren't really allowed to do anything else. Some of them were in the book club and couldn't even tell their husbands that they were reading true crime books because they thought they would get angry with them. So there's like that controlling aspect of the husbands. And then we have the fact that the vampire is killing a bunch of children. At first he is targeting black children, which obviously is disgusting. He probably realized that he could probably get away with that because unfortunately, people like to turn a blind eye. They just look in the other direction when situations like that happen, when people of color are facing horrible shit constantly. While the women in this book did recognize that, and when they started to figure it out and put the pieces together, they realized that. They also had the backlash of their husbands. Like, you know, it was just a lot of issues going on all in once. It really commentated on all of it. Hopefully that was a bit of a better explanation for that. I think it was a scary ass book. You know, it was a bloody freaking story. Definitely terrifying, but like I was fine. I listened to the audiobook. I was really invested in just like seeing what would happen. I wasn't like over here under my blanket like shivering or something. Like I was just invested. I wanted to know what was going on. It might scare some people. I don't know. So that is my top 15 books of 2020. I loved all of them, obviously. I hope that you found some book recommendations from this video because it's a freaking long list of books that I read. Let me know if you loved any of these books as well, because I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on them. Like this video, comment down below. Have a good day. Please subscribe. Make sure to follow all my social medias, which are linked down below, and go click the bell button, which is right by the subscribe button, which you should already clicked, and goodbye.